Welcome back to Star Wars Escape Pod and our 22nd episode of Lightspeed, bringing you Star Wars news and headlines in under 15 minutes. Or should I say 23rd episode of Lightspeed? Oh my goodness. We're racking up the Lightspeed news episodes here. It's been a little while since we put one together. September 10th, it looks like, was the last one. So, we're looking back like 2 months now. And the last 2 months have been pretty busy. We've had the release of Andor, which is coming to a close in 2 weeks from now. We've had an entire animated Star Wars show, mind you, as short as it was. Yeah, and it was short. It was good. So look for The Turn of Count Dooku, Tales of the Jedi After Show, and of course, The Legend of Ahsoka Tano, Tales of the Jedi After Show in our podcast library. Those were really great to talk about. There's always so much to talk about with those Star Wars animated shows, and if any of you guys are still tuning in ever since the days of Clone Wars talk with Diego and myself, I think you'll really appreciate those Tales of the Jedi after shows. And we got to get Diego back on here again. I mean, it's he's a busy guy, but he's happy to come back on at some point and chat about this show as well. So we'll have to bring him in for a catch up and really kind of get his opinion on the Dooku story, because I know that really fascinates him as well. Most recently, we had Andor episode 10 drop last week. Episode 11 comes out this Wednesday, and we're going to have the after show dropping this weekend. So make sure you catch up on our Andor after shows to just get caught up with the conversation, the opinions on the matter. We've had Blake and Kirk join us consistently for the past couple weeks now, which has been awesome. They've been super great to chat to. I've had such a good time kind of just chatting with friends about, Star Wars as usual. So, it's always great to have them on. So make sure you catch those episodes. Also, don't forget to check out Orbitkey. I mean, Orbitkey, we've left a link in the description of our past few episodes, I think, on the Andor series, and it might also be on the Tales of the Jedi series as well. But check out the Star Wars collection. You might be looking for some Star Wars gifts this Christmas and might be wondering what to get. So make sure you check that out. Pick up a key organizer for someone that you love, someone that loves Star Wars. You can't go wrong with the Star Wars Orbitkey collection to help organize their stationery, especially these days when everyone's working from home. Can't go wrong with any of that stuff. So make sure you check it out. Shadows of the Sith review. We had that drop on September 18th, and that was really fun to talk about. A new Star Wars book that we were all kind of intrigued by, filling in some gaps that the movies left behind. So don't forget to catch that on the podcast as well. Star Wars The Acolyte had a casting announcement to make, and I know I have talked about this on the show in a previous episode. I think it was in Andor episode 9 or episode 8 when we did that after show, but I'll reiterate exactly the casting announcement. If you guys haven't caught it on StarWars.com/news, this was November 7th, but Disney actually announced the cast for The Acolyte, an upcoming Star Wars series from Lucasfilm, joining the previously announced Amandla Stenberg from the Hate You Give, our Emmy Award winner, Lee Jung-jae from Squid Game, Manny Jacinto from Nine Perfect Strangers, Daphne Keane from His Dark Materials, Jodie Turner-Smith from Queen and Slim, Rebecca Henderson from Inventing Anna, Charlie Barnett from Russian Doll, Dean Charles Chapman from 1917, and Carrie Ann Moss, of course, from The Matrix. So, lots of new casting announcements there. Lucasfilm also released a first behind-the-scenes image of the series, which you can check out on StarWars.com. And there's a bit of a partial set going on there with some direction going on. It's a mystery thriller that will take viewers to a galaxy of shadowy secrets and emerging dark side powers in the final days of the High Republic era. And I know we've touched up on the High Republic era a few times on the podcast, but if you are curious to learn more about the High Republic era, make sure you send us a voicemail or an email or a tweet or a message in the Discord server. There are so many ways to get in touch with us. They're all in the description of every single podcast episode, and we love hearing from our audience. So, feel free to just send us suggestions. If you want to hear more about a particular Star Wars subject, we'd love to know about that. We'd love to know what other Star Wars fans are feeling right now with all this stuff coming their way. It's a bit overwhelming. Sometimes you might just want to be caught up on something and not need to consume everything. You might not want to watch a YouTube video on it. You might just want to listen to Star Wars Escape Pod talk about it. And, that's totally fair. So we'd love to know exactly what you want to hear on the podcast. Make sure you drop us a message to some degree, and we'll get back to you in a very timely fashion. So make sure you watch for those headlines on Star Wars, StarWars.com for more news on the Acolyte. Speaking of Star Wars news, I know it's not exact Star Wars news, but it probably will end up on StarWars.com, is when the new Indiana Jones 5 announcement comes out later this month. James Mangold did give us a hint that within the next 30 days, we'll get some sort of promotional marketing thing for Indy 5. I imagine this could be a teaser poster with a title, finally. If it's not that, we might even get a teaser trailer announcing when that announcement might be. They're going to tease the crap out of this movie, as it's probably going to be the last movie with Harrison Ford. I do hear rumors in the internet, in the Twitter sphere, that Disney Plus is eyeing the Indiana Jones license for Disney Plus. They're going to bring that license home to the small screen, and I imagine they're going to continue the legacy of Indiana Jones by passing the torch on to probably somebody else, as they have liked to do with their latest with their licenses. But it'll be very interesting to see where they take that character, where they take the story, and we can look forward to more news from James Mangold, I guess within the next 30 days about Indiana Jones 5. If for those of you who don't know what James Mangold has done, he's actually been the guy who's done my favorite movies in the X-Men series. I think he was the writer and director of both The Wolverine and Logan. He was also the director of Ford vs. Ferrari, if any of you guys really love that movie as well. So he's been at the helm of some pretty awesome films, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what he does with Indiana Jones 5. He has worked with Harrison Ford before in a movie called The Call of the Wild, which came out in 2020, so not too long ago. But yeah, they're back, and I'm looking forward to seeing what comes out with Indiana Jones 5. Of course, tune into Star Wars Escape Pod to hear a lot more about that in the future. Join the Discord. We have opened the floodgates to our audience. It was a private server before. Sometimes we kind of open and close the doors a little bit, but now we're committed. Now, floodgates are open. Jump in those Star Wars forums, introduce yourself, say hi. We're going to shoot you a message right back. We can chat Star Wars together in the Star Wars forums. There's a Star Wars memes chat, Andor, Lego, comics, Tales of the Jedi, Dash Rendar. There's a suggestions channel as well. We're pretty much just like starting up these threads, and they're really just kind of on the cusp of beginning. So, if you want to chat some Star Wars with some people that you have no idea who they are, or if you just want to chat with us on Star Wars Escape Pod, we're in there. We're gonna be replying to you as quick as possible and as much as we can to get this chat going. We also encourage all of you to invite your friends. If they have any kind of remote appreciation for Star Wars at all, feel free to invite them to the Discord server. The link, once again, is in the description of every single podcast episode, at least more recently. You can catch notifications in the Launchpad channel for new podcast episodes, snipped highlights, which is highlights of Star Wars Escape Pod episodes. We're prepping it for future events, for live events. Once we get a big enough audience in the server, we might be able to host some live events in the future as well. There's lots of Star Wars RSS channels. You won't miss a thing in there. We're talking every single Star Wars Twitter news account that you could possibly think of. We've got our bots helping us out. Between Lobot, C3PO, and R2D2, they're going to be taking tweets from the Twitter sphere and just giving us a nice RSS log in individual channels, nice and neat and organized. You never need to leave Discord to get your Star Wars news fix. on the Star Wars Escape Pod Discord server. So make sure you jump in there. It's free. You know, we're super chill about it. I mean, it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun to grow that community a bit. I've never grown a Star Wars Discord community before, but, you know, we already got a decent amount of people in there. Would love to see it get even bigger. And if we get big enough, we'll definitely utilize it a lot more. Yeah, that being said, I mean, now's the chance. Like, you know, get in there, boost the server, take some ownership. I'm gonna start distributing jobs to people who might want to take on more of that Discord growing community aspect of things. If that's a hobby of yours, if you're listening to Star Wars Escape Pod and you love Discord, definitely get in touch with me. And, you know, let's talk, because I would love to see what you want to do with how to make the server better. Would love any suggestions that you might have. If you know something that I don't, that would be great. All right. And lastly is the Star Wars YouTube channel that we have just made, the Star Wars Escape Pod YouTube channel. You can find it with the new YouTube handle. If you don't know what YouTube handles are, you can now use the YouTube search bar and type @ and a username, much like you would on Twitter or Instagram, to find YouTube channels. So you can find us at SW Escape Podcast as usual, like you can on Twitter and Instagram. And now we're backlogging or uploading all our previous podcast episodes, which is a huge task. It is a gargantuan task because what we have to do is essentially convert every single one of our podcast episodes from audio to a video format that's not boring to look at. We don't want you to launch the podcast up on YouTube just to stare at our logo for 2 hours. I mean, maybe you work at your desk, maybe it's fine, maybe you have it on in the background, you don't look at it anyways, but every single episode has a unique audio waveform that is animated to the MP3 file, which is our podcast episode. And there's a super long loop where you'll be joining C-3PO and R2-D2 in the escape pod with us, looking out the window as the galaxy just goes by. You'll see multiple different planets. You may recognize the footage through the window, but you know, hopefully that's cool. We have we're at the cantina. You'll just see a galaxy far, far away in this video loop. So check it out for yourself. You know, subscribe, hit like, leave a comment somewhere. You know, we'd love to hear from you as usual. And it's very, very new. So, you know, we're just kicking things off. We're at the moment, the main focus is to convert one at a time. Each episode takes approximately 4 hours tops from beginning to end to get it from the podcast sphere into the YouTube atmosphere there. So like to make that transfer, the conversion, adding the video, all that stuff, it's a long process. So be patient, and we will catch up eventually to our recent weeks. Doing the week-to-week things. Eventually, we'll catch up, and you'll have the podcast available, the new episodes, that is, on a weekly basis, timed out exactly with when they're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, you name it. So I think that covers all the Star Wars news that we have for today. Once again, thank you so much for tuning into Star Wars Escape Pod. The best way you can help us out, truly, is just by leaving 5 stars on Spotify or Apple Podcast if you use that. Or if you have an iPhone and you don't use it, just launch it up and slap 5 stars on there anyways. You know, it takes 5 seconds to do. Share the show with a friend. That always helps as well. If you know a Star Wars fan that might be looking for a Star Wars podcast to listen to, send them a link to Star Wars Escape Pod. Follow us on Twitter at SW Escape Podcast. Follow us on Instagram at SW Escape Podcast. Feel free to drop us an email at swescapepodcast@gmail.com. There's a link to leave a voicemail on our SpeakPipe address. And as always, I guess I'm leaving out the YouTube thing. Like and subscribe. All right. May the Force be with you guys, and we'll see you in the next episode of Star Wars Escape Pod.